Well, I can start talking. The Leah is new to us this evening, which is great to have you, sweetheart. The method that we use in the Sangha here is the six steps to freedom process, and it's basically using a reaction, a wound, to see what we've installed about ourselves that's created the suffering that most of us have going on until we don't anymore have that going on. The purpose of the 6 steps is to cleanse the lens of perception, to cleanse the distortion field of the distortion that got imposed on the lens of how we perceive reality with our early wounding conclusions. So it's ultimately the goal is to dispel, to discreate the identity that we point to when we talk about me. The me that we all started saying, probably by the time we could talk, before 2 years old, what about me? Me. It's all about me. Yeah. Well, there's a way in which it is all about me, but not in the way that we want to project and persist. The way in which we need to undo that limited perception of an identity is so that we start to live at the higher frequency of our true nature, which is fundamentally awake awareness, experienced and expressed through this body-mind unit with its gifts and talents. So we have the fun of uniqueness, specificity in our expression and our appearance and our personalities. But if we're still caught in the limited identity of the fear-based me, then we will identify with the body-mind unit, which is a limiting and fear-based identity. So as we talk about the 6 steps to freedom, and we may get to work with anybody who's interested during our time today on a difficulty, on a trigger, as we call it. But the goal is to move through the insistence that that's who I am. Because where we want to move to is our true nature as the awareness, because through that is, it's like, I think it says in the Bible, through a lens, what a lens of glass darkly, thank you. It takes a village, through a glass darkly and then face to face. And so the purpose of the 6 steps is to clear the lens, the glass darkly, so that we begin to connect to and experience reality, not as we are, but as it is. And as it is when we're not in a distortion field, since our consciousness is the creative nature in what shows up in our world, it begins to be what we would call heaven on earth. We start to experience the creation through that consciousness without limitation, without a self-rejection, and all of the reality that goes with that through our clear lens. It's so we're not just trying to do what for most of us may have been a big part of our early spiritual path, which is working on ourselves, right? What we want to do is to let go of what's not ourselves, which has been what's running the show. So it's a different perspective. It has a different goal. We're not interested in continuing to have a better me, hoping that that creates a better reality. What we're interested in is seeing through the distortion field that is our conclusion about ourselves. I'm not good enough. I don't matter. Something's wrong with me, and the reality that creates. So the work is very close. The 6 steps to freedom uses a trigger to open us into first the experience of the feeling of what that feels like, say, to be left out, if that triggers us, to be left out. And then from that place, as most of you on the call and in the room know, to go to an early memory of what happened when we concluded something about ourselves out of a similar experience, what it feels like to be left out, if that was the trigger. And then going into an early memory of maybe not being fed on time, maybe wanting to play with the other kids with their trucks and being left out, right? Whatever it was, when that occurred in our early experience, we installed a conclusion about ourselves. I don't matter. I'm not good enough. I'm not the one. And from that, what that did was that created a distortion in the lens through which we perceive reality. And so through forgiveness, we cleanse the lens of perception. It may take many, many times because we've been living probably more than one lifetime, if you go in that direction of reincarnation, probably more than one lifetime with a similar belief of lack of self-regard, of being left out, of not mattering. And so I think today what I would love to get us to agree about and to perceive is the most important thing about using the 6 steps, doing this work, is not so that we get to keep doing it until we are a really good human being, but so that we get to the place where we simply do not identify as a limited person who's not good enough or who doesn't matter, but that we've come to that place knowing ourselves, having the gifts and the talents that we do, that through this body-mind unit, free to express 100% without a distortion field that limits our perception and our conclusion about what's going on out there. There's a very heavy and prevalent victim consciousness that is a part of the collective. Our part in that, when we clear that with our own version of victim consciousness, is huge in terms of its impact. I often say to people, if it hasn't cleared in you, it hasn't cleared in the world. And so whatever that is that we have access to through our own limited idea of ourselves, then we have the opportunity. And with that piece, I'm not good enough. We do the work on that and we clear that part, and that impacts the collective experience, the collective reality. It's very powerful. Who we are as creators is very powerful. So as we do our own work, we impact the collective reality. We impact 100% how our reality shows up. Right? You can't hold out on I'm not good enough and have your world keep showing up on your behalf. Does this make sense to everybody? How about you, Leah? Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that, please?
I wish I could.
Play the tape over.
We can't expect it out there to be on our side until we've done the work here to be on our own side. I don't think that's what I said, but that's close.
Like that, I think, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's close. The way in which, we've all, I mean, all of us, at least of a certain age, and most everybody who would be on this call would have had an early input of a kind of rote, you create your own reality. Well, we do, but this is exactly how we do. When we first heard that, or when I first heard that, now that I'm 85 years old, it was a long time ago when I first heard I create my own reality. And like I've often shared with the people in the Sangha, if I create it, why am I getting this pile of shit? Well, the reason is because I don't know who I am being. And so it takes the trigger to go to that place where we actually have access to what the limiting belief is that is an aspect of the projection onto our world.
So Emily has her hand raised.
Great.
Okay, Emily, give me a second to, oh, you're a little bit in the dark, Polly. All right.
That's for sure.
She's she's in the
We're working on
dark.
that.
She looks
Hi, can you hear me, Polly? Hi, everyone. I can't see myself. I don't know where I guess I shouldn't have to see myself, right?
Welcome to my
Oh.
world.
So I was I wanted to share something and then I have a question about it, but I was dealing with a lawyer that I had to hire for something the other day, and she's arguing with me, I'm arguing with her, and like I found myself realizing that I have this thing where I'm just not believed. Like believe me, I'm telling you the truth. Like believe, like I want to be believed so badly, to the
Right.
point where sometimes I find myself just like right fighting, like as if now my belief has become the truth, and now I'm just fighting. But it made me sick for like days that she didn't believe me over something that was just, really basic. But so I went back and I was going, okay, 5, and remembering when 5 or 6 years old, I was sexually abused, and I remember being really little, and I told my mom about it, and she called the police, and the police came to the house, and the mother of the man came to the house, and I remember her like, my son would never, she's lying, blah blah blah, and apparently I don't remember it that well, but I remember like not saying a word. Like I was just like, now I realize I have to not speak or not speak up because I'm not going to be believed. And so I drew that conclusion really recently, and so I wanted to share that, but I couldn't. And I also have a thing where I don't want to speak up. I don't want to speak up about my beliefs. I don't want to speak up about what I think. I don't want to do anything because I don't want anybody, even if 99 people agree with me, one person might say, I don't believe you, or that's not true. And then I'm going to be completely triggered and, gone. So I couldn't figure out what I was really trying to forgive myself for. Is it, I forgive myself for not having believed I was believable.
Right. Yeah, well, we need to go back and see what it is that you installed, Emily, because when that happened to you, how old were you when that happened? 5 or 6?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, when that happened to you and you were shut down in that way, you concluded that it meant something about you. So if we go back to that place in the 6 steps, that's the feeling that you had with the original incident, right? Are you in touch with that?
The original incident, yes.
Yeah. What were the feelings?
Um, you mean during the occurrence of the original act?
With the entire thing? Yeah.
I guess the feeling was God, confusion, disgust,
Mhm.
um, uh, love, in a way. I felt wanted.
Good
So it was a
number.
lot of mixed emotions.
Sure.
Um, yeah.
When the policeman came and you were or you were trying to tell your mother about it, what happened then?
Oh, that incident. So I I just made a comment to my mom about like this man's naked body,
Um,
and she called the police, and I remember feeling like, oh, okay, like this is like I guess this is a big deal, and now
Andrew's
he'll
fed.
he'll pay the price or whatever. Yeah.
You can stay here.
What's that? Hello?
Oh, somebody's unmuted. Let me see if I can.
Oh, um, so then, yeah, I remember the feeling of don't speak but don't say anything, because if you say another word, you're just going to be look like an idiot. You're just going to look foolish. You're just going to make this worse because maybe what he did actually wasn't that wrong, because the mom was so insistent that he was just this angel. So he might be a good person for all I know. Maybe I had it wrong.
Mhm.
So
So,
the feeling of being stupid, I guess, is the best word I can use. Like, just,
uh-huh,
oops, I probably should have not said anything here.
right, yeah,
Now I was wrong.
right. Using those feelings, I think we've gone back to the earliest incident, because if you were like 5 or 6 years old, and this was, I think that's when it had happened, that this conclusion got installed. Do you agree? Was there something earlier that comes to mind for you?
This is the earliest. I mean, it happened many times in my childhood, but that was the earliest.
Mhm. Right, when that got installed, all of the implications of installing "I'm stupid," right? I mean, we can just feel, it's like this diagram of everything that means. I'm not believable, I'll never be listened to, I'm not good. I mean, all of the things from that "I'm stupid" is kind of an umbrella conclusion about yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that at work, what in this model, what we believe happens, which is an esoteric ex, example, is that now the way that you see the world is through a lens that an aspect of it is distorted by the conclusion "I'm stupid."
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are in a situation, say like with a lawyer, and this is the way you're seeing it, and now she's confronting you, it brings up this self-identity conclusion. "I'm stupid." Now, from that place, one of your adaptive behaviors is to persist, to defend yourself, or to insist that you're right, and then probably have evidence to prove it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what we're looking at here is the distortion field that gets created, and then a world that shows up that matches that. Right. So just as an example, without that distortion field, you have the same interaction with this attorney, and you don't have in play the conclusion "I'm stupid." Then when she says that's not the way it is, and you say, well, I can show you that it is, you don't have, I always say Satan comes and finds nothing in you. It's like you don't have any reaction to it. It's like it's so obvious, and you offer what you think is the truth, but you're not charged anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't go into the contraction of needing to persist, to prove that you are not stupid, because that's what's going on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in the 6 steps, as you know, 'cause you've done some really good work, is now we're bringing this conclusion of that little 5-year-old into the light of forgiveness. I forgive myself for ever having believed I'm stupid.
Mm.
Can you find that now? You may not be able to. It may take more
Mm-hmm.
being with it.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll work on that. Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking the conclusion would be something about, believability, but it really
Right.
is the stupidity aspect.
Yeah.
I don't want to open my mouth because then it's like, oh my God, this is going to be stupid. So
Right.
yeah.
And so all of the adaptive behaviors that you came upon out of that repressed conclusion, "I'm stupid," would be to be really good at things, and you're probably really good at Google searches or whatever.
Mhm.
But I mean, what'll happen is that everything gets shaped around what we're repressing about ourselves that we concluded from that early experience. That may not be the only thing that got concluded, Emily. Oh, but putting the light on that occurrence and the interaction, spend a little bit more time with that and see if there were other conclusions that got installed. Because from that place, you have a lens that has all of the information of your conclusions about yourself when that happened. And that's a very dramatic and impacting event for a
Yeah.
5-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I'll look at that. Thank you so
Good.
much.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, thank you, sweetie.
Yeah, Colleen.
Hi, Polly.
Hi, sweetheart.
Sorry.
No problem. Take your time. We don't even have to talk.
Yeah, but I need to talk.
I'm happy to listen.
Um, I'm having a lot of body challenges, especially with my digestion right now. And my youngest son moved to the mainland last week, and he's 26. Basically, has spent the last 7 years mostly alone and in his room. And he's just like kind of come into his own in the last, to a certain extent, in the last 6 months. And he met this girl online and decided he was moving to Alabama and going to live with her. And so far it's gone pretty well. And I don't feel like I'm in too much reaction. It actually feels more like so much of my kind of psyche has been taken up with worrying about him and trying to help him and be his friend, really his only friend. And that now that he's gone, there's this, it feels like there's this opening for me to heal some things that I didn't have the capacity to do before. And so what feels like is coming up is in this pain that I'm having um is about when I was 3, I had a lot of sexual abuse throughout my childhood, as well as my brothers did, and by my father. And when I was 3, I had a really intense um, sexual assault. And so what I'm getting that I concluded about that is that not that I wasn't worthy of something, it was like I was only worthy of being that kind of treatment. And miraculously, it hasn't really shown up so much in my outer world, but I feel like that I've taken it in, kind of used it against myself.
Oh,
And I guess mostly I just wanted to be witnessed.
mm,
And then anything that you
yeah.
feel to share.
Well, I want to ask you a question. You said that you didn't, that you were treated that way. What way? What was the word that would describe that way?
Um, that I was only worth being like used for
Mhm.
someone else's
Yeah.
pleasure,
Mhm.
and that I guess that I didn't matter enough to not do those kind of things.
Mhm. So when you say it hasn't shown up a lot in your life over the years, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't marry someone who was beat me up or raped me or any of that. I never got raped, I didn't get um a lot of that reflected back to me.
That's not the only expression of the identity of someone who's here for other people's purposes, is it? That's not the only expression of that identity.
No.
Um, There may have been very subtle ways in which
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I married a narcissist
yeah,
and um, went through a lot of that in my marriage and felt a lot of that with my son too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we want to see is out of all of this, and it may, I don't know what the presenting trigger is that you want to identify. But if it's that early memory, or if it's your son.
It's hard to tell right now. It feels like the only trigger that I'm having is this physical kind of, pain in my
Right,
not
yeah.
being able to digest and
right.
yeah.
Yeah, so using that as a trigger, right?
Yeah.
I'm triggered. The second step is, it's about me. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Can you say that? It's about me,
It's about me.
right? And the third step are, what are these feelings around this digestive issue? This, what are all of the feeling ramifications that you have with it? Am I making sense to you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It feels like rage. And a feeling of like I just want to destroy that what happened.
That's right.
I want to get rid of it.
Well, using that feeling, the rage is on the top of that underpinning of the need to get rid of it, your resistance to it. Using that compote of feeling, what's the earliest memory that comes back to you of feeling that way? It may have been during one of the assaults or mistreatments, but it may not be. What's the earliest memory you have of feeling that way?
Feels like just being like really young. Like
Mhm.
I can't move yet. Like I can't crawl even. And being in an environment that was really toxic and probably subjected. I don't have clear memories at that young. I remember the 3-year-old thing though. But yeah, it feels like, oh my God, I can't move. I've gotta run. And I can't. I need to, like who put me here? What am I
Right.
doing here? Yeah.
The feeling of being totally caught and immobilized.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
when that was going on, that early memory, when that was going on, you concluded it meant something about you. This is not logical or rational. It may make no sense, but see if you can get in touch with what that, and it would be an energetic, emotional conclusion at that point. I must be.
It feels like expendable.
Right.
Like it, um,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. I don't matter at all. Like I'm more of a burden than I am a blessing.
You have no value.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
that's it.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I
Using.
don't know if you can hear it, but the wind is like totally whipping around my house right now.
Where are you? Where are you?
I'm in Makau.
Uh-huh. It's peaceful here in Kihei, but using this model, when that energetically was your experience through your full beingness, and early, and especially with that 3-year-old, but when that was occurring in you, it literally created a distortion in the lens through which you see and perceive reality. And that distortion lens was the conclusion of I am without value. I have no value. I have all of those ramifications. So now you see the world through that, right?
Yeah, it's so hard for me. Like I was working in a job that people were just so nice and giving me such amazing feedback about what I was doing. And I had such a hard time taking that in. Like I just couldn't, there was just this like block of I can't even open to my own value.
Can you
Thank you.
imagine seeing this entire thing, that you, through the light of awareness, even in this dynamic at the job where you feel inured, you're blocking, it's like coming back through that distortion field towards you, you can't have it, right?
Right.
But can you experience, even if it's just a little bit, the forgiveness of that early conclusion of I'm valueless, I don't matter, I have no value. If you can see, just put the light on that so it starts to be just dispelled. It was never true. It was unavoidable conclusion for you. But it was never true. And so with this bright light of awareness shining on it, it can just start to be dispelled. I forgive myself for ever having believed I'm of no value.
Yeah, I can do that.
Let me hear you do that.
I can forgive myself for coming to the conclusion, the inevitable conclusion that I had no value.
Exactly. I know who I am. Yeah.
I know who I am.
Absolutely, exactly. You are the awareness in which a whole reality arises. This is beyond value or valueless. This is like, yeah, creation, creator, yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And that job that you've had begins to be reflected back to you. It can't land in you because of this lens, but now it will begin to, and the self-appreciation, that's at the heart of the matter.
Right.
You valuing yourself, I am, and in that I amness, that's everything that's of value. I know who I am. Yeah,
Yeah, I can feel like this veil between
yeah.
I know who I am and that distortion. Like I can feel that veil is starting to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you see, when you believe yourself to be of no value, then you will not receive the nutrition of your food. Or, I mean, fundamentally, all of our early woundings are turning against ourselves.
Right.
We shut down, the body takes the hit. And so as you open into your own value, you are beyond value and valueless. You are everything. You are the space in which an entire reality arises. Right?
Mhm.
And from that place, you take in the nutrition that the body needs easily. And good for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
It's so good to have time with you, Colin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
What a
you.
blessing that is.
Everybody here's thanking you, Colin.
Bowing.
Yeah, to your courage. Wow.
Got about 15 more minutes. Who's churning? Who's got something they're working or that's working them that you'd like to put into the fire of the 6 steps?
I'm just so touched by her carrying that her whole life. It just is such a huge step she's taken.
Huge, yes. Out of those steps, out of the light of awareness shining on that error, will come a new heaven and a new earth. It just, the earth of the body and the heaven of of one's reality, right? It's like that one thing gets cleared and then we're in a different frequency.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game,
Yeah.
the frequency.
I appreciate the opportunity to watch and experience for doing the 6 steps. And earlier, Polly, in your talk, you said that we are not interested in having a better me. And so there's what we're not interested in, and then a perfect example of what we are interested in, which is the transformation through the 6 steps. So it's just an incredibly nice, neat package.
It's amazing. Yeah, yeah, the identification is the issue, you know, the issue in your tissue. It's like, it is the issue, and to be freed out of that, the frequency, the opening into the quantum field of reality is in response now to an entirely different information. You know, this is an information reality. We are informing the field, and then the field shows up for us. But our information into the field is distorted and limited by our self-rejection, our self-denying conclusion. It gets very close to magic. Yeah, very close.
So Polly, I have a question.
Yes, we are.
Well, somebody else. Kind of along all of these lines. I had issues growing up. And one was with my brother. And I felt like I had worked on it
Mhm.
in many different ways through my life. But I think I'm most upset with my mother
Mhm.
because when she learned about it, it was, oh, he has a chemical imbalance like his father. Oh, we'll just shove it under the rug.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, if they have a chemical imbalance and they can't control themselves, there's chemical castration. Like, let's fix this. You can't just. So it was, you have to walk on eggshells around him and nothing's his fault. Right? So I've tried to deal with it in different ways over the years. She just had her 77th birthday. And I called and talked to her on her birthday, and she said, oh, we're having a big family thing tomorrow. We need you to call and be part of this. Yes, your brother's gonna be there. I want my whole family to be together. And I'm like, look, in this world, I forgive whatever has happened, but being on my own behalf, I don't need to put myself in the position anymore. They're trying to make the small talk, I don't need to do this. So I didn't call, and now I'm getting feedback from my family as to, they keep lashing out because sending pictures of everybody, and I felt like the black sheep for standing up for myself.
Mhm.
How to work on that trigger.
I'm triggered.
I'm triggered.
It's about me.
It's about me.
And the feeling like a black sheep. Feeling like what else? Talk to me.
Feeling like no matter what I do, I'm wrong.
Mhm.
I try and do the right thing by speaking up, I'm wrong. I try to do the right thing by staying quiet, I'm wrong. I try to move away, I'm wrong. I try to be there and put it to the side, I'm wrong. So
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the earliest memory you have of feeling like you're wrong?
it was probably, I think, speaking up for myself when I was being tortured by my hair pulled out by my brothers, like. And then I was wrong, because I was the
How old were
one,
you? Do you remember specifically?
I was about 3 and I was in church. And
Mhm.
they had pulled my hair and I screamed, so I got in trouble.
Mhm.
It keeps, yeah, that's kind of the
Mm.
initial one that
Mhm.
comes up.
Right, that's the memory.
Yeah.
when that happened, and this may not have been conscious, and you may be able to get in touch with it, you concluded that it meant something about you. When that happened to you, you were the one that got hurt. You tried to make a noise about it, and you were wrong. You were the one that was dismissed or punished. What did you believe it meant about you?
The punishment was, she took me out and she would spank you and then stop crying, stop crying, stop crying. And she'd spank you again. You can't, so then I got to where I couldn't breathe. So I couldn't cry anymore. And she would finally stop. So the installation was, it'd be better if I just wasn't breathing. It'd be better if I wasn't here.
So that's what got installed.
How was that installed?
Yeah. I would be better off, and everyone else would be better off.
Everyone, yeah, everything would be better
Everything would be better if I was not
if I
here.
wasn't here.
Yeah. So that was the conclusion. So that's been the distortion lens through which you've seen reality. I suspect there are many versions of the same story. They or it or he or whatever would be better off if I was not here. That could never be true.
That could never be true. I am the awake awareness
In which all
in which
reality.
all reality arises.
I know who I am.
I know who I
I forgive myself for ever having believed
forgive myself for ever having believed
that anything would be better off without me.
that anything would be better off with me.
I know who I am.
I know who I am.
The relaxing out of the bits and pieces of the distortion field. Now, as you start to having the light shined on this, and I think we've done a little bit of work before, but it tends to go in stages in a way. But now notice if that shows up even a little bit, like it just that you just have that thought, that remind yourself of where it came from and that it's not true. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Christine. One of the big stories for me is realizing how blessed I was and am. And I'm grateful. It really hurts my heart to hear that little girls were abused like that at that age. That was
It's incumbent upon us who have clear lenses, whether it was because of a kind and generous upbringing or because we have lived long enough to have cleared a lot of shit. But it's incumbent upon us to be in appreciation and available for expressing like you just did, Bonnie, which is really great. Yeah. Because actually, we're all, I mean, it sounds like some new age trivia, but we are really all one. We're all aspects of a potential to create a new heaven and a new earth. And that depends on this work, this closest in work that each of us can do, and that we can witness for each other as we do it, because every piece of it belongs to all of us, for sure.
So what's our time? 6 minutes. We have 6 minutes?
Mhm.
Oh, I could say gratitude then, and that, the reason I was late Just as I was walking out the door, I got a phone call letting me know a friend, Anna Douglas, died, who's your age.
Oh.
You might know her, Lily. She's
Anna
a
Douglas?
Anna Douglas, big time Buddhist Dharma teacher. Feisty woman, you know, on the forefront of breaking the ice for women Buddhist teachers. That's not how this has ever been carried, by the way. And so it took some people like Anna, you know, super brilliant, super articulate. And I got to teach, you know, we taught many retreats, did many things together, and she died today. And I feel so happy for her because she had it. That was that journey of the ending of Parkinson's, where you just would prefer, could we please move this along?
Yeah.
She made it out. She was just laughing yesterday with some friends. And so, and in the last few years, I mean, she'd done so much, you know, I mean, decades and decades of the deepest Dharma kind of work. She had really lightened incredibly so. And so my gratitude is for Anna, who I feel right now is just laughing her way out of here, just like, woo.
Yeah.
And for all she gave a lot to a lot of people, like thousands. So just wanted to know when we're meditating, if there's an extra expanse, it might be
That's
the glitter from Anna lifting off today.
What was her last name, Douglas?
Douglas.
Wasn't
Anna's-
her
dad like the Supreme Court? Yes. Justice? Yeah, Douglas. So,
Yeah.
That Anna Douglas.
That Anna Douglas.
Yeah. Well, she might be a little smart and a little powerful.
Oh, good.
And a woman coming out of the South, you know, and claiming her voice, her power in a total patriarchy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Oh, bless her, she blazed the way,
yeah,
yeah.
yes,
Thanks for sharing.
yeah.
When I became an attorney in Los Angeles, there were hardly any.
Talk louder, love.
When I became an attorney in Los Angeles back in 70 something,
Whatever.
yeah, there were very few women lawyers.
Yeah.
And I realized after a while that I had blazed the way for others too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was grateful to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were singing this song in German last night, and I remembered that the whole reason I didn't graduate from high school was that I flunked German. Oh. But I went on anyway.
So good. Okay,
So we're good here. I'm gonna stop the recording.
thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Elsie.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.